but we may be seeing the formulation of a game plan and tactics from this training footage from Gervonta Davis.
Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is going to feel something from it. And it ain't going to be easy to hit it.
Gervonta "Tank" Davis has the boxing world on edge after new training footage revealed a terrifying transformation ahead of his upcoming fight with Jake Paul. The undefeated champion appears stronger and more explosive than ever, showcasing a bulked-up physique and ferocious power in the gym. Fans are calling this the most dangerous version of Davis yet, and Jake Paul might be stepping into the ring with a monster in peak form. Davis, who has built a reputation as one of the most explosive punchers in modern boxing, is no stranger to going viral. From brutal knockouts to his signature calm before the storm demeanor, he's long been one of the sport's most intimidating figures. But this new footage hits differently. In past camps, Davis focused on speed, accuracy, and movement, the hallmarks of his lightweight dominance. This time, however, everything about him looks bigger, meaner, and more calculated. The usually compact fighter now looks like he's added several pounds of lean muscle, and the result is both impressive and frightening.
My biggest fear, I don't never want to get embarrassed. You know?
What you mean? How would you get embarrassed?
As far as like me not doing my job, feel me? Like I'm not worrying about nobody else because I know skill for skill, none of these guys can mess with me. Nobody. I feel like my skills is way better than like Floyd. Like if I'm on my game, well, I take that probably hand in hand. But skill-wise, nobody on TV that's fighting right now have more skills than me. Nobody. Like talking about top to bottom list of fighters that's fighting on TV.
So what that got to do with you being, I guess, embarrassing? Like, cause again, we see you make posts on story like the fight not happening. Like,
cause I don't never want to like me not doing my job like all the way, like me not training all the way, me not, you know. So that's what made me like. So I was supposed to been in camp, you know, and I wasn't in camp. So it was me like, all right.
Oh, okay.
It pissed me off so bad that I was like, all right, I don't even want to fight.
Former heavyweight contender Eddie Chambers has issued a stern warning to Jake Paul ahead of his fight with Davis, cautioning him not to underestimate the smaller but far more skilled fighter. Chambers acknowledged Jake's physical advantages in terms of size and strength, but emphasized that Davis's sharpness, speed, and devastating knockout power make him one of the most dangerous fighters pound for pound. If you're not a monster yourself, Tank will make you look bad, Chambers said. His comments are directly tied to the growing debate surrounding the matchup, specifically whether Jake's size can overcome Tank's elite skill set. Chambers believes the answer is clear. No amount of size will save Jake Paul if he gives Gervonta Davis a clean opening.
That something like this can happen, but this is social media, this is what it's created. There's a lane that Jake Paul has created. Honestly, I'm not mad at him for it. He's gotten a lot of fighters and, you know, actual fighters some shine. It also has done for women's boxing a lot. So I'm not mad at him for what he's been in boxing, what he's created. This is a little crazy right here. This is a little crazy. And a lot of people will say, Tank is too small. Let me tell you something. Anybody that gets in the ring with Tank that is not a damn dinosaur is going to feel something from it. And it ain't going to be easy to hit it. Got boxing IQ. He may not sound like an intellectual guy when you hear him talk, but he knows the ring inside and out. So there's nothing that Jake Paul can do aside from make it extremely ugly by grabbing him and probably trying to throw him to the ground. I don't know what else, bite him. I don't know, but I mean, the skill level alone. Now, of course, there is a size difference, a height difference, and all that, but he's just going to struggle so much landing a shot. You know, it's just going to look bad. To me, this is the way I see it. It's going to look bad. Tank is going to be too fast. And the punch, I believe, I'm not saying it's going to knock him out or, you know, but he's going to feel it.
Davis is sending a chilling message ahead of his Jake Paul fight, claiming he could take down a 300-pound man with no fighting experience. Known for his explosive power and lightning-fast hands, Davis isn't exaggerating. It doesn't matter how big he is, Tank said in an interview. If he doesn't know how to fight, I can handle him. Skill beats size every time. The undefeated lightweight champion emphasized that boxing isn't just about strength, it's about timing, technique, and precision. While a 300-pound opponent might have raw mass, Davis believes his speed, agility, and knockout power would make him virtually untouchable.
What do you think is the minimum weight of someone that could beat you in a fight?
Minimum weight?
Yeah.
Right.
Someone's like 250.
Yeah, probably like, 250, 220 or some shit like that.
With no experience?
Yes, sir.
Someone with no experience?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, hell no. They gotta have experience to beat me.
No, but like a 300 guy, no experience. You think
Nah,
you could beat him?
I'm whooping that ass. I'm whooping that ass for sure.
Despite Davis's terrifying new training footage and bulked-up physique, many fans and analysts still believe he's simply too small to beat Jake Paul. Standing at just 5 feet 5 inches and having fought most of his career at lightweight, Tank would be giving up significant height, reach, and weight to the naturally bigger Paul. Critics argue that no matter how muscular Davis looks, physics still matter in the ring, and Jake's 190-pound frame could absorb more punishment than Davis expects.
All of a sudden, we want to know who will win in this fight, Jake Paul or Tank Davis. It's a legit question. And I actually want to really hear your thoughts on who do you think is going to win. Because I know what Vegas is saying, but I want to know what you think. You got
Personally, I think Tank too little, bro.
Yo,
I think Tank too little.
I'm so glad you have a brain on your fucking shoulder.
I think Tank
The
too
way
little.
I said, bro.
I think Tank's too little. That's what I'm saying. At weight classes for a reason.
Tank Davis
At weight classes for a reason.
5'5", 135 pounds. Jake Paul is 6 feet, 205 pounds.
That's what I'm saying.
Dog.
He's too
6'1",
little.
205. Everybody's like, yeah, bro, but Tank it only takes one good punch. Yes, it takes one good punch when you're about the same size. There's a 60, 70-pound difference in weight in these people. I don't think nobody puts the physics in mind. Jake Paul gets punched in the face by dudes 200 pounds with all their might on a weekly basis. A 135-pound puncher, bro. If y'all remember the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor fight, Conor walks around like 180 on the regular. He's like 5'9", 180. Mayweather's like 5'7", 145. That 30-pound, 20, 30-pound difference, bro, if you remember that fight, Mayweather was putting mittens on Conor. Guess what happened to Conor? He didn't hit the ground once.
No.
He lasted all 12 rounds getting hit with flurries. I'm talking about Mayweather was having his time. He's being cocky with it, hitting him with all kind of combos. And we're watching the last 3 rounds of that shit like, yo, knock him out. And you know what? He could not knock him out because Conor gets punched by people that are 170, 180 pounds on a regular. And just that 20, 30-pound difference, it was like impossible for him to do anything. And that's exactly what I feel like is going to happen versus Jake and Tank.
Many fans are already comparing the upcoming Jake Paul versus Davis fight to the infamous Logan Paul versus Floyd Mayweather exhibition, another classic case of size versus skill. Just like Mayweather, Davis is the smaller, more technical, and vastly more experienced fighter, while Jake, like his brother, relies on size, power, and aggression. In the Logan versus Mayweather bout, the massive size difference kept Logan standing, but Mayweather's precision and timing dominated the fight.
Jake Paul, Tank Davis fight got moved to Miami.
I think Jake wins.
Jake's just so big, dude.
I think Jake wins.
This is different because it's similar. It's similar to Logan versus Mayweather, but
Jake has
Jake
better
Paul
boxing.
now obviously is way more advanced than where Logan was at that moment in time.
I mean,
Gervonta
it's
is
just
fucking sick.
I mean, yeah. No, but dude,
Did you
Jake
ever watch his highlights?
Jake can
He's
crack,
nasty,
man.
bro.
He's so sick.
He's
I love
nasty.
that guy, bro.
Boxing analyst Aid Oladipo shared a critical perspective on this fight, arguing that it's happening too early in both fighters' careers. He noted that, unlike Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul, who fought in an exhibition after their prime years, Davis and Paul are still in their athletic peak. Oladipo believes this matchup, driven more by spectacle than legacy, could distract both fighters from more meaningful challenges ahead. He suggested the bout would make more sense later once they've accomplished more in their respective divisions. For now, he sees it as an unnecessary detour that risks overshadowing their true potential and long-term goals in the sport.
Whether you agree with it or not, Gervonta is considered the #1 lightweight in the world. And it's a division that includes Shakur Stevenson, a lot of young guns coming up. I'm not anymore sure if it's going to include Keyshawn Davis, but it's a hot division. He's considered #1 in that division. Like, that's why I kind of find this a bit, I don't know. Like, there are challenges out there for Gervonta. There are big money fights out there for Gervonta. We want to see Gervonta in those fights. Again, I don't know how many fights people want to see AJ in, just to make the AJ Jake Paul comparison. One, as far as I'm concerned, that was Tyson Fury. I don't really have any interest in seeing an AJ in any other more fights. Whereas Gervonta Davis, I wanted and still do want to see him in so many more fights. So, yeah, it's kind of weird. These exhibition things are, like, really and truly, they should all be
when your career's done? Like when you think of Floyd versus Logan Paul, like, it's done, right? Floyd versus Conor. Did he have one more after? Was that it? I can't even remember. But it was right at the end. It was done right at the end, even if it wasn't right at the end. These guys having these exhibition fights in between what is the peak of their career is kind of weird for me. Very, very weird. And then it isn't even comparable to Ngannou Fury, because at least these guys were the same size. Like Jake Paul is a 215, 220 pound guy. I don't know what he walks around at. Gervonta fights at 135. I'm guessing he walks around about 155.
During the press conference, Jake Paul himself emphasized his physical advantages over Davis, specifically his height, reach, and overall size. He pointed out that Tank's aggressive, close-range fighting style leaves defensive gaps that Jake plans to exploit with his longer reach and power shots from the outside. However, Jake also acknowledged that defeating Tank wouldn't automatically make him an elite boxer. Instead, he framed the fight as another step in his progression, proving he can compete with world-class opponents rather than instantly earning top-tier status. His comments were both strategic and humble, positioning himself as confident yet realistic, aiming to gain credibility through performance rather than hype or a single victory.
I would say a lot of things, but I think first and foremost is going to just be my reach, my size, being able to keep him away. I think there's a lot of holes in his defense that a lot of people haven't exposed before, and he's a great fighter, one of the best. I'm excited. He's elevating me to a new height. He's making me push myself to my limits. I'm more locked in than ever. But at the end of the day, I know I'm going to be able to come out on top and outbox the guy who's been doing it for 7 times as long as me.
Jake just said that Tank has been boxing for 7 times as long as Jake has been boxing. They started out this press conference by saying Jake started boxing 5 years ago. So 7 times 5 is 35. Tank is what, 30?
Paul made it clear he's not afraid of Gervonta Tank Davis, boldly claiming that if he met Davis in the streets, he'd shake him upside down. Paul said his size, strength, and power give him the edge, even outside the ring. Confident and confrontational, he dismissed Davis's knockout reputation, saying Tank has never faced someone with his toughness. "He's too small to scare me," Paul said. The statement quickly went viral, fueling tension between the two camps. While Davis stays focused on training, Paul continues to talk big, promising to prove that power beats precision. With both fighters trading words and confidence sky high, fans are bracing for an explosive showdown when these two finally meet in the ring.
He's a 5'8" little peon. If we were in the streets, I would grab that little ginger and smack him upside the head and make him forget who the fuck he was. People don't realize I'm a real killer. I really fucking do this shit. YouTube this, YouTube that, Disney that. This shit is not a joke. I'm knocking out the best of the best, beating all of these people time in and time again. And it's about time that you old heads and all these fucking boxers who think they know about the sport put some respect on my name.
The size difference between Davis and Paul is extreme, raising serious questions about fairness and safety. Davis, who typically fights around 135 to 140 pounds, would be facing a man nearly half a foot taller and up to 70 pounds heavier on fight night. The bout is set at a 195-pound catch weight, but Jake Paul is expected to rehydrate to roughly 215 pounds once the fight begins. In contrast, Davis's in-ring weight would likely remain near 150 pounds. That's the kind of gap normally seen between lightweight and heavyweight divisions, categories that boxing rules are designed to keep separate. Many boxing analysts are drawing a historical comparison to highlight that skill can sometimes overcome huge size differences in boxing. In 2009, David Haye, weighing around 217 pounds, defeated Nikolai Valuev, a 7-foot-tall heavyweight who weighed about 316 pounds, nearly a 100-pound difference.
This is a tiny man, 5'5", and I reckon his in-the-ring weight is somewhere around 145 to 150 pounds. Meanwhile, Jake Paul is around 6 foot. We're not quite sure. I think he says he's 6'1" or 6'2". I've heard other people saying I think he's closer to 5'11", 6 foot. But the point is he's a much, much taller man. And in the Mike Tyson fight, he was over 220 pounds. So the size difference is massive. This fight's been made at 195-pound catch weight. But after Jake's rehydrated, assuming there's no rehydration clause, which I don't believe there is, he'll probably weigh around 215 pounds in the ring. That means there's a sort of a 60 to 70-pound difference between the two men in the ring on fight night, which is absolutely enormous. There are weight classes for a reason in boxing, and this is the sort of thing that is typically not allowed or permitted. And like I said in my intro, it goes to the heart of that key question in boxing, which is how big is too big? It's the reason that the pound for pound list exists, where we kind of imagine if everybody was the same size, who's the best, who's number one? And it's a debate that rages on and on and on. And so when I see a fight like this, I think the hardcore boxing fans, generally speaking, have felt frustrated by it. Yes, because we want Gervonta Davis as part of the actual sport, competing for world titles against the other elite guys in his weight class. But also because if he gets knocked out and loses to Jake Paul, it creates this illusion that Jake Paul's much better than he actually is. And so I guess the question for me is, can Gervonta Davis beat Jake Paul, or will Jake Paul simply be too massive? Can Jake Paul use his size, or will Gervonta Davis simply be too skilled? What's the answer here? And in trying to answer this, I looked to history. And there's one fight that immediately popped out of my mind, and I thought, I wonder what the size difference was there. In fact, it may even be more significant. And it was, and the small guy won. Some of you might be thinking about it right now. It's when David Haye took on the monster, the absolutely ginormous human being, Nikolai Valuev. I think it took place around 2009. So at the time, I was literally a teenager. I didn't have a clue what I was looking at, and I'd fully bought into this David versus Goliath story. But I think it's an excellent example here to draw comparisons between the Gervonta Davis-Jake Paul fight to try and understand whether or not this is a good template and blueprint to try and predict and understand what the size difference might look like in the ring. Now, David Haye was 6'3" and was 217 pounds for the Valuev fight.
Despite Valuev's enormous size and reach advantage, Haye used superior speed, timing, and movement to outbox him and win a decision. This fight is often cited as a classic David versus Goliath example in modern boxing. The narrator uses it to suggest that Gervonta Tank Davis, though far smaller than Jake Paul, might still prevail if his skill level is high enough, proving that elite technique and strategy can sometimes neutralize sheer physical size.
This means that the weight gap was just a tiny bit under 100 pounds, which is obviously 40 pounds more, 35 pounds more than the gap between Davis and Paul. And there was a 9-inch gap in their height versus what seems to be a 7-inch height gap between Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul. And if you go back and watch that fight, David Haye wins it fairly comfortably. He uses his speed, his power, he moves around the outside of the ring and comprehensively outboxes Valuev, even hurting him at one point in the fight. I remember getting so excited seeing it and thinking, God, he's actually managed to wobble the giant. This is ridiculous. And so on the surface, that was a bigger gap, a harder fight for David Haye than Gervonta Davis might find Jake Paul as an opponent. The size gap was significantly bigger. And Nikolai Valuev was a guy who won over 50 fights. You know, this was an actual competitive heavyweight boxer who'd beaten some decent names.
Aiden Ross, a popular streamer, strongly believes Jake Paul will shock the world against Gervonta Davis. In his view, anyone doubting Jake's chances simply does not understand boxing at all. Ross claims that Jake has been improving fight after fight and now has the tools to challenge even a champion-level boxer. He dismisses critics who see Jake as nothing more than a YouTuber-turned-fighter, arguing that Jake has proven himself in the ring already. Moreover, Paul recently declared that he's cleared all US ADA drug tests ahead of his showdown with Tank. By agreeing to random testing by the gold standard anti-doping agency, Paul aims to silence critics who accuse him of using performance-enhancing substances. His statement, "No excuses," comes amid increasing scrutiny over his rapid physique changes, and he's positioning this fight as proof that his power and endurance come legitimately, not chemically.
For all of you Karens who accuse me of being on steroids as the reason for winning all of my fights, we have the strictest drug testing possible for this match. US Anti-Doping Agency. Random drug tests at any moment. Oh look, they're here now.
Hey USADA, me in the car. Looking good. See if you're on steroids. Clean as a whistle, contrary to what they say.
Overall, analysts agree that Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis isn't just a boxing match, it's a global spectacle. With Jake's crossover fame and Tank's elite skill, the fight transcends traditional matchups like Canelo versus Crawford, proving that entertainment value and mainstream appeal can dominate the modern boxing landscape.
You know what I mean? Especially Tank been talking about retiring, so why not get the bag and then go about your business if that's your plan? I mean, if that's your plan to retire, then go get the bag and go about your business. You ain't doing nothing wrong. I'm not against it.
You got some people that are very critical of Tank. Does it make sense depending on what you're in boxing for?
Because you got some people that want to fight the best. You got some people that want the accolades, the belts, the undisputeds. And you got some people that just came in this game like, look, I'm trying to get my family out of poverty and give us generational wealth. Does it all depend on what you decided to box for?
Well, Tank accomplished a lot at a young age.
Do Tank's skill and power outweigh Jake Paul's size and confidence? Or will Jake shock the world again? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.